reminds the audience that we really are just watching a woman having a dull, methodical conversation about the fit of her dress. Directly after Gimme Shelter is played in the film's opening moments, we segue into another Beatle drop, Billie Jean by Michael Jackson. And that makes sense, right? It's a song that calls on us to think about Melania's beauty and voice, and that's certainly an important part of the movie. But then, 40 minutes later, Brett Ratner asks Melania what her favorite MJ song is, and she says Billie Jean, and we have a second for Billie Jean needle drop. There are good ways to reuse songs in a movie. Like if they'd asked Melania at the beginning what her favorite song was, and she'd said Billie Jean, it might make sense to play it again at the end of the film as a bookend. But as is, the choice just looks so lazy and off-putting, like the film just wanted to be rammed full of Billie Jean for no discernible reason. Melania is at St. Patrick's Cathedral lighting a candle for her beloved dead mother. It's a very small scene. The cathedral is almost empty, no doubt emptied out for Melania, and so one might expect an intimate, melancholic song to be played. But no, instead the film uses Aretha Franklin's rendition of Amazing Grace, peppered with the claps of the live audience who were there to enjoy that song back in 1972. Rapturous, immense nature of Melania's grief over her mom. Sure, I guess, but I'm just telling you, that's not how it feels at all. To me, it feels like Ratner got footage of Melania in this cathedral and just thought, what's a cool religious song we can play after that? The result is messy and totally jarring. And Melania walked through a hallway, and then he kissed me by the crystal lamps. This is an obvious allusion to the most famous scene in Goodfellas, where Ray Liotta takes his date to a back door in Havana because he's so rich and cool. This, I think, is also the reason why Ratner uses Gimme Shelter earlier in the film. Scorsese uses that song in 3 of his Rob movies.
I started using Sandy's place to mix the stuff. Even with Sandy's story that she mixed, I could see that this was a really good business.
The ultimate purpose with both tracks is to identify Trump as a kind of fun mob boss, a guy who holds all the cards, who lives a life of almost sinful opulence. But even leaving aside how weird it is for a propaganda film produced by the Trump administration to imagine him as like a badass criminal, it's also just horrible filmmaking. Yes, Ratner, I understand that Trump and Melania are walking through a hallway, and that's just like the movie directed by your hero, Martin Scorsese. But the problem is, nothing is actually happening in the hallway. Nothing communicates Goodfellas energy. Melania just looks vaguely uncomfortable, and Donald stares off into space, and they get into their car. They're not fooling anyone. There is a kind of mismatch in this movie, a sense that it wants to be about something, wants to feel legitimate and big and important, wants to justify the use of these expressive songs, but it just can't. Why not? We can talk about the structure of propaganda, ways in which the basic requirements of this Trump documentary limit how interesting it could have possibly been. Audiences are attracted to conflict and vulnerability and narrative, but Melania and her husband must both be depicted as perfect angelic creatures unburdened by any problem at all, and so the film is doomed to be dull from the very start. And all of that is true, it's obviously true, but it's also quite a convenient explanation, and it doesn't give us the full picture. To put it simply, Melania is more boring, more useless than it has to be, and a lot of that simply comes down to who the First Lady is, and the way the film chooses to deploy her. On the paper, I think there's a pretty interesting story to be found in Melania Trump. She was born to a quite wealthy family in the communist country of Slovenia. She was a moderately successful model. She married a billionaire celebrity 24 years denied the President of the United States. Melania ended up with Trump because he's rich and powerful, and it's interesting just how obvious that is. I'm not saying that she doesn't like him or find him fun or whatever, that she probably does, but nobody's fooling anyone here or even really trying to. When an NYU student asked her if she would be with Trump if he didn't have money, she responded, "If I were beautiful, do you think he'd be with me?" All this to say, there aren't any other first ladies like Melania Trump, and I do find her kind of fascinating. I listened to an audiobook about her, The Art of Her Deal, and it had its moments. You know, I'm not saying I recommend it, but it intrigued me. The problem, though, is that Melania is a very sterile and wooden character. I'm not talking about her personally, I don't know her, but with regard to the media she produces for the public, look, I read like half of her memoir for the sake of this video. It's also called Melania, which is very annoying, but I just want to read you a few passages here. Talking about her modeling career, she writes, "Despite setbacks, I remain dedicated and true to my values. While some industry encounters were difficult, I handled them with poise." Talking about museums, quote, "I have always made time in my schedule to enjoy the city's cultural gems, the Museum of Modern Art, the Guggenheim, and the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Visiting museums is a habit I have maintained in every city I've lived in. They bring me joy and inspiration." Talking about her career, quote, "Sometimes, in order to succeed, you must be willing to take risks and make tough decisions. You need to trust yourself and your abilities and never settle for anything less than what you deserve. The path to success may not always be easy, but with determination and courage, you can achieve your dreams." Just one more, I'm really sorry. Talking about her early life with Donald Trump, quote, "I took pleasure in cooking for him, supporting him in daily routines, and maintaining a beautiful home. It was my priority to safeguard his welfare, meticulously attending to every aspect of his life." I can't emphasize it enough. The whole book is like this. She never quips or shares any personal observations. She doesn't get into anecdotes or write with specificity about the people who populate her life. The whole thing reads like a ChatGPT generated cover letter. As manager of Burger King, I believe I can provide this cherished American establishment with discipline, care, and grace. You know, that sort of writing. Look, this book is obviously, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if 2024 ChatGPT was in fact involved in its production. But whoever or whatever was used to create this book, they got it back to the movie. The film is packed to the gills with scripted narration, where Melania describes in the vaguest possible terms how cool she is.
At First Lady, I found amazing about how our lawmakers can build dignity, create equal opportunity, and foster compassion through the unity of all Americans.
Like my dear mother, I care about fashion.
My mother Amalia's fashion talent and expertise cultivated a deep appreciation for great design.
Like my father, I enjoy cameras.
My father always gives me special moments when he was around. He showed me the world through his lens, the essence of living life with passion and purpose.
This way of talking is not necessary for the propaganda film to function. We could easily imagine a puff piece about Melania where she was given the opportunity to be more spontaneous, funny, and human. But instead, we are shown a robot who, with the exception of a few scenes, says nothing.
I carry the idea of home within myself as I often move from New York to Palm Beach to Washington, D.C. Essentially, I find peace in each location.
We're told that Melania is sad that her mother died, but we don't get a sense for who the mother was. We're told that she's very proud of Donald Trump, but we don't get a glimpse into their relationship.
Being hand in hand with my husband at this moment is very emotional.
Toward the midpoint of the documentary, Melania tells us that she wants to reinvent the position of the First Lady, make it less formal in some way.
One of my goals is to evolve the role of First Lady beyond normal social roles.
What does this mean? I legitimately have no idea. From the perspective of the documentary, her life is totally passive. The inauguration needs to be planned, so she has random people showing her invitations and color palettes. And she goes, "No, that looks good. Wow. The LA fires happened." And she goes, "Wow, that's sad."
I think about the families, the children who have lost everything.
An Israeli woman comes to talk about her hostage husband, and she goes, "That's sad. My husband will do something about that."
We have only a few days away, and my husband
Jordan and Brigitte Macron.
My next step and my next goal is to foster relationship and work on it with like-minded leaders and establish coalition. And when we do, I hope you will join me. With pleasure.
The documentary feels aware of this lack of action or personality, and it even tries to compensate for it. One of the most important scenes in the film happens right towards the end. We see Trump delivering his big inauguration speech, and suddenly, there's a flashback to the day prior. Melania is walking around and stumbles upon Trump preparing his speech. There, she suggests that he adds the word unifier, and Trump likes the idea. Cut back, Trump said that very word as he becomes the 47th president of the United States.
My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier.
He then cuts to Trump thanking his wife, as if to imply that he thinks he has a Republican extension notes. It's a moment that he's clearly trying to say, yeah, she's pretty important. To me about the way she just happens on Trump, the way he invites her and her cameraman to the conference.
You can go back to one.
Maybe I'm wrong though, because you think that if they pre-prepared this moment, they could have made it a bit more interesting. What does she add to this speech? The word unifier? That's not important. That doesn't change anything. It's just kind of a filler word, right? It sounds nice. Right at the end of the movie, there's another Melania badass sequence where we read all of her accomplishments as First Lady. I've never in my life seen more text at the end of a movie, but here the point is to basically convince the audience of what the film is. Melania is a real go-getter and does lots of cool stuff. Maybe I could make a separate video going over these claims, but for our purposes, I think I only need to point out that one of Melania's greatest achievements is that she actually played an instrumental role in freeing an Israeli hostage. What are they talking about? How did she help to free this guy? Did she negotiate with Hamas? It's genuinely one of the weirdest and most audacious lies I have ever seen put to film. Look, the truth is, Melania just doesn't do many interesting things, or if she does, she certainly doesn't want the public to know about it. And Ratner's hands are just completely tied by this basic fact. He has no idea what to do with this woman. And so in the end, the audience is left asking, if this woman isn't really here, is the movie about her at all? Around the 50-minute mark of the movie, Melania just kind of disappeared. Whoa, I didn't know this was a magician's YouTube channel. How do you do that? The film is about the days leading up to Donald Trump's inauguration, and it turns out that the event itself is where she has to tap out. There is no more dress to worry about, no French president's wife to discuss the children with, so she's stuck following Donald around. In one particularly striking scene, we see Melania quietly watching the television that her husband appears on. It's baffling. And while watching the film's supposed protagonist be transformed into a ghost-like figure feels unreal, it is also, I think, the most effective part of the film. The place is most persuasive as a work of propaganda. Donald Trump is a profoundly divisive and unpopular president. He also has a big mouth, constantly shares venomous, cruel talk about the U.S. and other countries, and about his political enemies, and about journalists and stuff. Quiet. And because of this, he is uniquely ill-suited to be a subject for a hero worship. Trump doesn't have a huge speaking role in this film, but he does get one very odd moment. In the days before the inauguration, he talks to some advisors and complains that the National College Football Championship falls on the same day as the inauguration.
So they put a game. They want extremely close to the network. I know, but why did they put the national championship at the same time?
His disappointment and confusion at this fact immediately take a conspiratorial turn, as he supposes that actually this was all part of the plan.
They probably did it on purpose. Alright, let's go.
The football people are trying to get him. I think this is the true Trump, the uninhibited Trump. And he is a small, resentment-driven man whose self-obsession drives him toward a kind of grandiose paranoia. You can't make a whole movie about a person like that. He wouldn't come off well. And so, outside of this one scene, they don't. Because Melania is our unthinking point of view character, Donald Trump is able to emerge as a presidential figure. We don't have to hear from him so much, and so can instead hear the trappings of his office. Look how fancy the inauguration dinner is. Look how many people are in this arena. Look at the size of his estate. Look at the raw scope of his power. Throughout the film, Ratner inserts clips that look like they were taken on a Super 8 camera. I personally think they look quite out of place and cheesy, but of course they accomplish this same task. Like Melania Trump herself, the film produces the feeling that we are watching some kind of historical, larger-than-life moment. Donald Trump becomes an easy version of himself. This presidency, as it exists today, already turned over to the archive, dignified and nostalgic. One of the best sequences in this entire documentary occurs right at the beginning, where Melania suggests alterations to her inauguration dress.
I want to take away this. No more turtleneck. So it will be very sharp. I want to see only two-piece.
Crossover.
Piece cross. Not too heavy here.
It's fun to watch because it's the only time Melania seems to take an active interest in her own life, where she seems to exert any agency at all. I'm not a fashion expert, and so can't really evaluate the artistic merit of this dress. I guess I think it's cool and insane in equal measure. But one can't help but notice that the hat she chooses all but covers her face. For much of the latter half of the film, we can't look into the First Lady's eyes. Of course, that's just a coincidence, but it is an appropriate one. Because Melania in this movie is not here to be seen with the president, but to look at him. And I suppose the question we have to answer is, what actually is she looking at? So look, Donald Trump isn't literally Hitler. I'm not trying to make a boring one-to-one comparison here. It's hard to watch Melania without thinking about Leni Riefenstahl's most iconic Hitler movie, Triumph of the Will. The two documentaries, after all, have much in common. Both are produced by and for conservative administrations. Both seek to present their central figures as complicated saints. Both center on a big spectacular event, Hitler's Nuremberg rally, Trump's inauguration. Both situate their leaders within some mythic, nostalgic tradition. Both are devastatingly boring, and both pad their runtimes with endless music sequences that make the audience crave death. Triumph of the Will is an inevitable companion piece for Melania, and I'm certainly not the first person to use it as such. But this comparison, as tempting as it feels, can only go so far, and that's because Triumph actually makes sense. It's quite easy, I think, to dismiss Triumph as a banal and vapid film. I mean, it is those things. It's obviously more concerned with its endless Nazi processions, its images of power and supremacy, than it is with advancing any particular political agenda. But despite that, it is coherent, it is self-aware. At base, Triumph of the Will seeks to identify Adolf Hitler as the ultimate embodiment of the German people, and it says as much explicitly multiple times. To that end, the film takes some pains in expressing not just the awe-inspiring spectacle of the SA and SS soldiers marching down the streets of Nuremberg, but also in conveying what state exactly Hitler represents. Specifically, the people of Germany must be mandated to do work, directly carry out Hitler's will. The Germany of Triumph of the Will is also new. Yes, the film invokes images of old architecture and traditional cuisine, but Hitler emphasizes that all of this is part of a movement that begins with him a few years ago. From Hitler, are like Hitler. When you watch his Grand Parade, you're seeing him. If you search for it, you can certainly find this sort of gesture in Donald Trump. I mean, it's no secret that he identifies with the state apparatus of the U.S. in a way that's quite unusual for a modern president. At base, the guy is fixated on plastering his likeness on things. His name must be on the Kennedy Center. His face must appear on passports. His signature must be on money. Endless portraits of him must be strewn around the White House. And you can sense this desire in Melania too. The film bears the name of and stars his wife, and she kind of functions as an extension of Donald, right? A blank canvas through which he gets to exalt himself as an imposing figure. And that's all well and good, but the problem is, there's nothing to exalt here. So Trump is the president, so he was inaugurated. So what? There is no public in this movie, no theory of politics, no thought about what America means to Trump, why any of this actually matters. If Triumph of the Will is the quintessential authoritarian propaganda film, and that it disseminates a grand theory works to justify Hitler as a totalizing embodiment of the state, then Melania is best understood as a post-propaganda film. It refuses the grand narrative, refuses to cohere. Instead, the movie just packs itself full of these empty signifiers. Mob music tells us that Trump is a cool badass, but it isn't justified contextually, and so it feels like gibberish. Super 8 footage is splattered throughout the film to remind the audience of the regal presidents of America's past, the mystique and tragic aura of JFK, yet it's without any feeling of intent. At multiple points, we see Melania's high-heeled shoes, the ultimate "the devil wears Prada" shop. These obviously exist to communicate her elegance, her regal stature, her status as Queen Bee. And as a viewer, I can't feel that status. Her every act in the movie just feels perfunctory and pointless. She visits Arlington Cemetery and says this:
As First Lady, I carry each of your memories in my heart with humility and gratitude.
This sentence that feels like a genetic weight and dignity, but it also sounds like it comes out of madness. What do you mean you carry them in your heart? No, you don't. And you know, there's something kind of fitting about this. The centerpiece of Melania, of course, is Donald Trump's inauguration, and that's a convenient subject because that event was, in its own right, a celebration of naked corruption. Trump's inauguration fund racked in an unfathomable amount of money. Unlike campaign funds that used to be able to for inauguration funds, and while other presidents like Obama or Biden had their own caps and donations, Trump had no such option. So, he was able to raise $235 million. That's the most well-funded inauguration fund of all time, and it's not close. Second place goes to Donald Trump in 2016, when he raised his country $88 billion. The inauguration was, of course, a who's who of tech billionaires. You can see them in multiple shots of Melania. Mark Zuckerberg and Elon make chit-chat. Tim Cook sits directly next to Barron Trump while Donald delivers his inauguration speech. And yeah, Jeff Bezos made his donation and Amazon streaming of the event. Bezos donated $2 million to Trump's fund. And there's something uncanny about seeing him here, featured in multiple shots of the film. He bribed the president's wife to like him. In a sense, this is the only thing the film can offer, this closed loop, this self-referential image. Because Melania does not exist to persuade the public, but to proclaim that persuasion is not necessary. The film is not made for us, but for the people in it, the people we follow and the people who linger in its background. And for them, Trump's presidency is like the sham film they decided to produce. Basically meaningless.
All out attitude stock ends and on. You definitely know the stakes that are here at the end of the street. You understand he's playing against one of the contenders in terms of like who's going to make top 8 and whatnot. So if you have to make the statement this early in the game, straight for him.
Boyd is not known to be in his reaction to a win mostly the same. It's only to maintain it.
There it is, yes. That's what he's waiting for. That's the condition. Yes. And that pops off. And I have not seen Boyd pop off that. He earned it, man. Yeah, he earned that. Dominant team right up here. Yeah. Maybe he's never played a Sheik on this level, you know? Or maybe this is Boyd's breakout tournament, man. He had a great performance yesterday. But he is just brilliant. I know, yeah.
Would find himself in winter quarters against the Bucks. But Moore is patient and disciplined on the league. He plays the second Apex 2015 0, and someone he actually challenged and lost to in a money match last season. Their first official encounter was in Texas twice. Boyd losing 4 times. Yet lost to him again in the side event earlier this week. In bracket, nothing changed. Boyd dropped. Boyd had reached the top 8 a year ago. It was unknown. Genesis is about to
We are here with Boyd. I feel like pretty insane. I never thought I would be able to make something that good. Or you're going for the start of the competition, playing your best, or like winning your thing, or playing going for a fight against Mexico. And outside of that, I really do Getting back on the stage, we have a second opportunity. That is good.
Okay, next moment, Boyd. He dancing. And Boyd moves on to winter semis.
His next opponent was Bucks.
Oh, and what a way to take the first game. Using the spike.
they got touched? I don't even know at this point. 6%? That's it?
His hotel, flight, and entry fee was all paid for. A much different world, begging his mother for half a plane ticket and sleeping on a cramped hotel floor with 18 people. He placed second, losing again to the best player in the world. Logic Gaming, an esports organization mainly focusing in League of Legends, but with a few Smash players on their roster as well. Boyd was well aware of them. He would officially join the team later that year. Not everything was working in his favor. Smash
Boy, must be fire. Against a fast-paced, momentum-driven player like Boyd, one bad interaction and all the Buzz was a different kind of problem, and not a new one. His Rosalina was the puppet master controlling Luma, a second body absorbing hits, extending her reach, and departing combos. Boyd had tried different strategies, even different characters, but every time, the result was the same. Despite his rising skill, world-class sports sponsorship, and his move into the CLG house where he would practice over 8 hours a day at certain points, winning wouldn't get easier.
Probably like but in myself as a player, it's really strong because I just exert that much pressure. Like if I touch you, you might die.
But there would always be someone in his way. He still hadn't taken a set off remaining number 1, 0, but almost nobody was beating him. The true roadblocks were the ones that felt specifically built to shut him down completely. Boyd was still talented enough to consistently make top 8 at major tournaments, but found himself plateauing, losing to the same characters and players.
있고요. 미안하다. 한번.
On the hunt for victory right here. First S-tier event in his grasp. Can he close it out?
Number one, K in the back was in getting him through that situation.
Sandler not making it easy.
That's probably going to be a break.
Wrap it up as well. Sandler on the brink of elimination.
Fine, this is it.
Oh,
It is.
It is.
Bayonetta could delete your stock at 0% off a single interaction. Cloud could zone you out with a sword larger than most characters. By 2018, the metagame had converged around them, and the characters that actually stood a chance against them. In a game with 56 characters, people slowly lost interest in seeing the same fighters make top 8 and win tournaments. In addition, Smash 4's two-stock format combined with Rage meant that upsets in bracket were extremely common. While exciting for spectators, it was extremely frustrating for competitors. Streamlined combos, predictable options, and a shrinking set of viable strategies. Void's Sheik was one of the few exceptions. The game was being solved, and it seemed like Void's answer was wrong. On March 8th of 2018, Nintendo revealed a teaser trailer for the next Smash title. And while it didn't give a specific name and only revealed one new fighter, it was enough to signify the beginning of the end for Smash 4.
Hey guys, Boyd here with my recap on Smash Masters Battle for Las Vegas.
Yes, great play right there, and you have it by mistake. Mistake, son.
I was really close, but I couldn't pull through, and that's okay. I have to look forward to losers bracket.
You okay? Alright, you're sick. You're sick. You're sick. Wait, but down smash. Down air. No, going down.
That was pretty. That was sad. That was just sad. I'm in the crowd, just wow. This is a really pure on.
In early June of 2018, when Smash Bros. 4, Void quickly made his way to Group's quarters after phase 2. At this point in Smash Bros. Lifespan, the Buzz was extremely familiar with machine magic, training sets with his team, and competitive rivals stood behind the file. Record against the Buzz. It's going to be Void and one player who have absolutely met in bracket many times, but these two body very opposite ends of the Smash Bros. Spectrum.
Jetzt haben wir. Ah ja,
We are
nein.
also going to die, but also going to return the favor right back.
Wir kosten der. Okay, we're fine with like one.
Still going to pick the Bouncing Fish up and close this out now. 2-1 for Void. He's on winner's top 8 points. So far so good here for Void. He is actually a game away from taking out a top 5 player. We're only getting into top 8 winner's side. Clutched out, reverse sweep.
Double jump, shield the illusion, is able to put out a lot more damage here. Jeez, more fish, I knew that, I saw that coming. It's gonna happen. Void is that's it, he's over it. And the up air, finally, Void has figured it out. There's the hug of respect for both players. Both these guys leaving it all on the stage with an incredible top 8 set.
Finals, face Sailor.
He Just sitting. Oh my God! Not having an answer. Point the pressure.
Oh, another upset. I told you, cornerstone of this thing.
Now the pitch is fine, but Aerodon is trying to go back here. Salem has regained control of this set thus far. It all panned
Ja,
out for
verbessert
him.
sind noch
We're
da.
heading out into the next game. Salem.
That should be pretty good actually.
You see him go for the up special. Unfortunately, just a pinky off.
Oh,
Now the bat with it. He's got to get past the back end. And the up tilt into the up air. We are in game 5 and calculated as ever.
yep. If you guys were here at the tournament, you will hear the crowd, the front voice right now. The people want their voice. They want their voice to win right now.
This is so scary.
Oh!
Just like that?
Just like that, he just thinks it. We have Boyd in grand finals. Boyd is in grand finals. You expected Salem. You expected Leo. Maybe you expected the Bucks. Did you expect Boyd? No, you did not. Boyd is in grand finals. Only one set away of taking this tournament.
Lay up there. Listen to the crowd.
Now sitting on your side of the finals, Boyd after defeating Leo in matchups, Salem logged his way back to the other side.
Oh,
Boyd is Dragon Demon and the best Bayonetta main in the world. Yet here, so close to victory. Just one more set.
Percentage 118 gets the bouncing fish. He's gonna hit the first stock. And Boyd has got all the momentum right now to take grand finals and Smash and Splash. Salem is reeling.
Ooh, the sleep. He's dead. He's dead. He did it again. Boyd, he is only one game away. Not only the first time she has ever won a super major after the match, but also Boyd's first super major win.
The players that want to win the major have to do it shortly. Now to move on to a new game. Can Boyd make his place in Smash history if he can just take one more game from Sid? Reverse up smash from Salem, calling out Boyd and squashing his momentum. It's not over. There, Set goes for the up smash. Not gonna happen. He's gonna keep the up air. It's away.
Throw.
Forward throw.
Boyd wins the major! Boyd wins the super major! Sheik is back to the map, baby! It's back to the map! This is Boyd's first super major tournament win! Look at the crowd eruption! Look at everybody holding Boyd! This is it, Cody! Boyd is back to the map! Sheik is back to the map! This is it! Story has been made! It's Smash 4! We thought the game was over! No, it wasn't! No, it wasn't! This was history! Not just Smash 4, this was Smash Brothers history!
The first time Sheik has won a tournament of this size in God knows how long. Finally, Boyd gets his success story. He's come so far, and he closes this chapter.
Oh,
Boyd
baby.
is your Smash and Splash 4, Smash 4 Wii
Oh,
U Grand
baby.
Champion.
Wait.
Had won. He had finally conquered the Buzz and got his revenge against Salem. His win at Smash and Splash 4 settled the argument for best Sheik. But being the best Sheik didn't make him the best player. Mr. R would be ranked 10th in the all-time top 100, and Boyd would fall just short of 11th, never able to reach the summit. To make matters worse, Smash and Splash 4 later had his super major status just the major. Still, it was officially announced to the public. It's confirmed competition began waning in size and intensity as the expiration date slowly approached. December 7th, 2018, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate released worldwide, and for the first time in nearly 4 years, everyone was starting from scratch. matchup experience. No tier lists, no established meta. The chaotic frontier of early Ultimate would be a test for players as they scrambled to discover any advantage. Along with the addition and return of countless fighters, Ultimate was noticeably faster paced than Smash 4. Aerial attacks had less landing time, movement speed was buffed across the board, and running could be canceled into any ground attack. However, this new engine came with a massive catch in Void. Perfect pivoting technique that helped define the Smash 4 career. The complex micro-spacing core allowed to shoot and dance around opponents simply didn't exist. Fighters returning from Smash 4 while some remained mostly the same, Smash 4's top tiers appear to have received more nerfs than buffs. Sheik was no exception. For a lesser player, losing your signature mechanic and character would be a devastating setback, but adapting to adversity was Void's specialty. With Sheik heavily nerfed in the transition to Ultimate, Void pain. He chose Ishu, a character who originally did Melee to make their return in Ultimate. After a 17-year hiatus, Ishu was basically an entirely new the archetype with fast, combo-heavy, damage amplified by incredible weight, making it highly susceptible to being KO'd a single mistake. Volatile, featherweight, related, perfect execution, rock. He'd done it with Sheik. Now, he'd do it again. Void was not only the pioneer of Pichu, but the game as a whole, sharing tech, guides, and information on anything you can find. These videos didn't just help evidence that Ultimate was a game as was the case with the recent Brawl and Smash 4, a decent amount of top-level Melee attempt to compete in the new Smash League. In the past, most would have been early on in return to Melee, but the unprecedented hype made it harder to dismiss. It demanded respect in a way previously Genesis 6 would be Smash Ultimate's first appearance in the Genesis series, and its first super major tournament. It would amass over 2,000 entries and have a majority of Smash 4's top 100, while some of Melee's top 10 attendance. Genesis 6 would answer the question that had been brewing since December. Would Melee players take them? Would Smash 4 veterans carry their experience into the new era? Who would be the first to rise to the back
Playing easy. Alright, I'm swinging. Damn, that is your life. Electric.
Quick background on Void. I have to know that he comes from Smash 4 as a historic player.
Void has always been a aggressive player. He's Void, very precise when it comes to his conversions. This guy's a combo. Oh, no. Oh, and Void is on.
Now in top 64 would be Mech, notable Japanese Smash 4 Peach main. His next opponent would be the Japanese Olimar Showtime. Only a month into the game's lifespan, most players barely had a grasp on their main, let alone a character who wasn't even in Smash 4, let alone second.
Boy, you're nine! You're nine! Landing, and he just goes for the drop zone dare, closing the door on game 3.
Standing in his way from top 8 to the side, Day 3. too had fought a few times before, but in Ultimate, Void has an electric rat of his own.
We're just the roll-in and the first game.
And as the rest of the sets concluded, winner
I can stop somebody from
Chewie, you say something.
To get to this stage where we drop one game, that's just fun.
でも、そこまで。
Young Money, Skyrim, 88 in the World Smash, for winning Ultimate's first major tournament of the year, straight into the major semis and his first Super Major, at just 18 years of age. To say Zachrang was on the top would be a massive understatement. He knew exactly what Zachrang was feeling right now. He felt himself in Genesis 3 on this same stage. Back then, he demonstrated our performance. Now, he was standing in the way of someone else's.
On stage, as you see the perfect edge that's really using the angle and that fight of that forward tilt to take care of that stop. Well, damn, bro, come how you really feel. Let's not talk about that. Ladies and gentlemen, look at Boyd right here.
Waiting for him none other than Anthony Leo in an intense game set. His character, Peach, was already establishing herself as one of the most impressive forces in early Ultimate. She was standing right between Void and Grand Finals.
Boyd already off to the second start, putting on 80, making 95 today. And George taking everybody's push. My goodness. And it does all the time.
like, Genesis confirmed to me.
MK Leo would rise to the occasion, beating his next 3 opponents in a row. Including his rematch with Sansora. Despite relying almost exclusively on length to carve through the rest of the tournament, Leo made a pivotal switch for the Grand Finals. He would pick the same unstoppable path, unshakable fundamentals, legacy, consistency, featherweight blast cannon pushing up the its absolute momentum. It was now past midnight, far later than the night for many people in the world. Despite the late schedule, viewership for Peak and 74,000 viewers. Climactic match.
Both these guys just worked so hard to get up to the point you pop in today. And can make the necessary switches, and it's been paying so well. Oh, yeah, right. A little too hard. This is an MK Leo that understands that.
What's up?